everybody, and welcome to another episode of Guys on Gaffr. My name is Joel, and Abhishek is with me today. No David, unfortunately. He is absolutely fine, but our schedules just didn't quite align this week. He's working all day today. So, just the two of us today. How are you doing, Abhishek?
Yeah, doing fine. It's good to have a break, but I can't seem to be bothered watching international games. But as of now, there was nothing going on around in the world of sports. So, watched some games, the under 21 games, some highlights on my phone. Watched 10 minutes of England game today. Just the two goals scored, and I just switched it off because it's job done for England. And watched Spain last night. I really like the new manager they have appointed. I mean, they have brought the guy from under 21s, so he basically nurtured those youths to the Spanish national team, and he's now the head coach. So really, like, although the opposition was Norway, sorry David, but when you are not playing without Haaland, Norway don't seem to have much of a chance. But did quite look a different Spain that we watched in the World Cup before. So it was decent to see that a lot of new players, lot of new players that are starting for Spain. So it was good to see. So overall, it was having a fun, but back to now with all those double game weeks coming in FPL and the Gaffr championship becoming ever so interesting now. So it's football is really can't wait to be proper club football to be back. But
yeah. Similarly, I don't find the international breaks that interesting. I'm quite enjoying the break on this occasion, and sometimes I think I enjoy the break a bit more in this international break than I do in the autumn when there's like one every month. I'm like, I just want Premier League. But yeah, I'm feeling, my brain is feeling a little bit switched off from fantasy football right now, but we'll hopefully get it kicking into gear on this podcast. I'll be looking forward to it when it comes back next week, that's for sure. I even had to ask Abhishek what the England score was. That's how unengaged I am with football right now. I don't often watch England games outside of major tournaments because there's just no jeopardy. We always qualify easily, and there's just no.
Plus, you guys were home, so there was nothing more incentive then. But the Italy game was much more incentive because that was the last year's Euro final, so it was much more.
Yeah.
Decent to watch.
It's actually a tougher fixture for once as well. But let's dive in, and we'll have to cast our minds back about a week or so to the end of game week 38, 37, 38. Oh, I'm so
38.
losing track of everything. Game week 38, and my team is up first. I got 64 minus 4 last week, which was a bit of an annoying one. It was a red arrow from 100 and... I'm the wrong thing. About 120th down to 134th. Because I'm chasing, I took a risk on Bradshaw captaincy because of the Huddersfield fixture, Huddersfield at home. I thought, if there's ever going to be an opportunity to try and make up a bit of ground with something a bit different, it's going to be Bradshaw captain here. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I do believe that obviously Akpom and Victor were the better options on paper, but everyone was going to go down that route, so I thought maybe this was a fixture to target. But yeah, as we say, a bit of a surprise result there with Huddersfield coming out with the victory, a very important victory at both ends of the table. But yeah, just the 2 points captaincy. I did vice captain Akpom instead of Victor, so that helped, and that kind of managed to reduce the amount of points I lost on that. I'd bought in loser as well, and he got nothing, got just 1 point. Giles 14 points was nice, but he's very highly owned, so basically no differential returns. Giles is highly owned, Akpom's extremely highly owned, and was probably at least 150% EO, so I probably lost rank on him. And then I just got I got half clean sheets across the board for the rest of them. 4, 4, 4 and 4 for my other 4 defensive players. So a bit of a poor week, sets me back a little bit now in my race for the top 100, which is annoying, but there is enough time to claw it back. The gap still feels quite large. I haven't seen exactly what it will be, but I imagine it's about 40 points, 30 maybe 30 to 40 points, so we'll see what can happen. So that's me. Abhishek, your team is up next. You had a slightly better week.
Yeah, I mean, I scored 75 points. My transferred in player was Hoover, fetched me 8 points. Was nice. Surprisingly, Stoke kept a clean sheet. So, really, I'm starting to see some of Alex O'Neill's work now after some games he has had with them. Hoover is a player that I kind of like now with Stoke fixtures coming up, and especially with my a boost left. I think he can be another player who is, I think, very attacking wise in the wing back position, which Alex Neil is playing. He can be that, like I think Ba was doing for Sunderland, or Clark was doing for Sunderland. He can be that kind of player for Stoke as well for the remaining games. Manning scored a goal, but yet another week he got a yellow card, and Swansea again conceded. So didn't get the full points, but fetched me 8 points. I'm so annoyed with Brady. So annoyed. Why do you come for 20 minutes and I have 6 points of Fox on the bench? First on my bench. Why? I mean, he is a problem now. He's becoming a problem. He needs to go. And surprisingly, Preston did not play that well. I mean, it was was it a surprise result? Mm,
I'm trying to remember what the what the match was now. I'm just so disengaged.
I think
They lost to
I
Middlesbrough.
think
Yeah,
Preston, yeah, they lost to Brazil, so that was not a surprise result
no, not really.
at
Middlesbrough
all.
can steamroll
Yeah,
teams at home.
so yeah, when I started Brady, I thought he would, if he had started, probably fetch me some attacking bonus points, maybe, because I don't know why he did not start, especially against tougher opposition. He should have started, but maybe that's a different question altogether. But last week was, I mean, benching was a headache because lots of players got benched. Lots of players did not have a game. So lots of, I mean, I already have what 9 players, but after the game week started, after the game week started, I was got down to 7 players because lots of people were on the bench, like so Ramsey, Brady, I think was benched as well. This Diallo was benched, but glad he. It's a controversial thing, but I don't want to talk about the penalty that Sunderland received because certain section of the fans feel that only Manchester United players get those penalties that are soft. So I'm not going to be watching. I'm not going to be speaking about that anymore because I get to enjoy Diallo's 11 points. So happy with that.
Lucky
As
you.
a
Lucky
as a
you.
no, no. Yeah, the Middlesbrough duo of McGree and Ramsey got me 3 and 1 points respectively. Millwall result was a disappointing one against Huddersfield. So Fleming got me 2 points. So yeah, I mean that was a surprising result in the end. But Huddersfield gave themselves a chance to save the drop, I guess, with that win. Akpom was my captain. He rightly delivered. Victor got a last minute assist. uh, I was thinking about why I have put Vice on
I don't
Victor.
think it
He
was
should have.
last minute, but yeah,
I mean,
he got an
it
assist. Yeah.
looked like, yeah, it looked like a last minute assist to me, but nevertheless, Pirro got me 1 point. Pirro needs to go now. I've had enough of him. I think Manning
Yeah,
is
why
by
do you
far
even own
the.
him, mate?
Yeah, I think I have just pursued with him. Didn't fan. I think I was in need of defensive and midfield reinforcements first, so
Fair.
I couldn't get him out. And
Yeah.
in the bench, apart from Fox's 6 points, I think they're all zeros. Woodman was zero. The only guy that played, I think, Townsend and Taylor did not play because they have the FA Cup quarterfinals. So yeah, 75 points. Got me what 4 place Green Arrow. I mean, it's been a grind. Gaffr has looks like it's a grind to me now.
Yeah, it
And the
is.
only hope that I have now is the one boost that is left, and I'm hopefully that boosts me up significantly to a better position overall rank wise. Otherwise, I think I will finish 252 with the 350 mark. Overall,
Hmm.
I will finish if I don't have a good last boost, which will be budget buster. So hopefully, I can get a nice haul of points from that boost.
Yeah. At least you have a double game week to potentially look at, although I don't know how many budget players will be playing in that.
Yeah, but the doubles that are there will be from Burnley and Blackburn.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any budget players from those teams.
Hmm. Well,
So
we'll see how that pans out. Hopefully, you can get a good green hour off the back of that. But it does get very stretched out at this late stage in the season. We've had
yeah.
38 game weeks now, so it is you're kind of looking for marginal gains, which is why I do think my top 100 is going to be tricky. And yeah, you're kind of relying on your budget buster. Shall we move on to Thursday Night Wars?
Yeah, it was another victory for us. I mean, boy, we're scoring points for fun
We're
in
on
here.
fire. We are on fire right now.
Yeah, I mean, after game week 37, after the century on game week 37, we were close to it again in game week 38. We scored 95 points, which gave us a game week rank of 15.
With no boost
I
as well. Look
know.
at that.
Yeah.
Smashed
So
it.
I mean, yeah, it's really. I mean, the Middlesbrough trio of Akpom, Archer, and Charles all scored more than 13 points. So Akpom scored 13 points. He was our captain, 26 points. Archer scored 19
Super
points.
camera
Giles
nature.
scored 14 points. So wow. Our transferred in player was Drame, so he got us a nice 9 points, 9 pointer with an assist, I believe. To round of our defense, we got Osho and Bidwell with 4 points apiece. Wilson with 4 points as well. Our midfield, I mean, we did not get any points from Fosu. I guess he was benched and he did not came on. I guess.
Fosu. What happened with Fosu
Yeah.
was did you see the game got abandoned?
Oh yeah. After, yeah. He got benched.
So
A
funny. Did
classic.
you see the video of the Rotherham ground stewards at half time, like basically sweeping water back onto the pitch?
Yeah.
Bit dodgy. Bit
I-
dodgy.
yeah, I mean, I was just, I mean, I saw it on Twitter. I guess somebody shared for a certain meme. I forgot the meme what was, but yeah, really classic Rotherham. I mean, if Rotherham gets, if they will get another double game week.
Budget buster. That could pan out all right for you. Might have walked
If
into some budget assets there.
look, it can happen, but if it gets another abandonment, that's a wastage of.
In theory, the
I
weather should
just
be getting
don't.
better now. It's not. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so I am not trusting Rotherham until otherwise. So let's move on. I think so. Our two midfield players, rest of, were Fleming and Sara, did not do well. Victor
Um,
was the last player to round off. He was our vice as well, so 10 points. So 95 points for our quad team. The Gaffr community team came second with 76 points.
and that's now on the screen.
They Yeah, they also got, I think, Charles 14 points. They will also have Akpom captain. They got Diallo's 11 pointer, Victor 10 points, who was their vice as well.
Yeah.
And I think rest were all ones from Pring, Morris, Gasper, Maxwell, and they got 5 from Trusty. Sykes, they have Sykes. Speaking of Sykes, I think got a 4 match ban.
Yeah.
So whoever owns Sykes must keep an eye on him. He will miss the next 4 games. They also the community team also got 5 from Clark as well. So yeah, so 76 points. The community team came second. The surprise. I don't think it's a surprise, but it's becoming a theme now. The Fantasy Podcast is coming again on the wrong side of the Thursday Night Wars table, but they are coming on the right side of the overall rank table because this
Yes.
78 overall. or in ranks. So yeah, I think
But
they
we
got
don't care
69
about
points.
that.
Yeah, they got a nice return from Pedro as well, which was their vice. They got the captain Victor, so we got 14 points. They also had Giles with 14 points. But from that, I think Colin and Ngakias got 6 points. Yeah, so 69 points. They came third, and I think we have subsequently increased our lead at the top. I think
I can tell you what the
we are
scores are
now.
because I just looked at it. So we're on 56
Yeah.
points. Gaffr Community, sorry, EFL Fantasy on 47 and Gaffr Community on 45. So we have a 9-point lead at the top. So and with a boost in hand. So let's just say it would be a massive collapse to lose from here. I
Look,
don't think any Gaffr collapses have happened before, have they, at tops of leaderboards? So I think we'll
yeah,
be all
it
right.
has happened to us. We were 7 points clear at the top. we just, we, the Eiffel Fantasy just put us to the swords in back to back. In 3 weeks, I think they got 3 wins and we just came down.
Yeah.
So, fingers crossed until we get the next 2 wins.
But that was at a point where we were making sacrifices for this very moment. I think our
Yeah.
strategy has gone so well because obviously we sacrificed a couple of the doubles weeks, overhauled in 36. So this was just in the space of a week because we had a midweek round of fixtures. We had an overhaul, and in 3 single game weeks we got 94, 103, 95. That's insane. How did we do that? We just nailed it.
I mean, we not only had one overall, we had forced overall as well because we took a minus 40
Oh yes,
for our
I
team.
forgot about that.
So basically we got 2 overalls to get to this point. So
Smart.
I mean, the
We don't care about
sacrifice
overall
that we
rank.
have, yeah, I mean the sacrifice we have made has fetched us this 9 point lead, and which we intend to hold it on now. So yeah, that's our Thursday night was. In terms of the Felix Cup, I think nothing has changed much on the top 10 for us in our league. I think the number 2 and number 3 players have swapped places. He got the second, who is now, he got 91 points. Mike Muppets, who was second, he got 66. So he has just opened up a lead for the second place, but Ronald is still by far way far ahead. Hopefully, and he got what? Second has an overall score of 3166. Ronald scored 3224. So it's
He's opened up a lead now. 54
Yeah.
point lead at the top of the overall standings.
Yeah, and I don't think Ronald has played all the boosts, and then next guy in second has also played all the boosts. So it will be all will depend on whatever in the next 9 weeks they scored, what the differential picks that they pick, it
Yeah.
will propel them or be their downfall, I guess. So yeah, I mean the top 10 is like it was after game week 37. I think Tom has made an entry in our top 10, the Gap community manager, and Frustration has also made an entry. So I think the 9 and 10 position, there are new people. 1 to 8, they are like the game week 37. The people were there in game week 37, they are in game week 38. So that's the situation we have in terms of Thursday night wars and the Gap Felix Invitational Cup.
All right, so the plan for this episode then. Last time we spoke quite a bit on the race for top 2 with Middlesbrough and Sheffield United, with Middlesbrough kind of really closing that gap recently. And we also touched on the playoffs. But what we wanted to do this week is go through all the playoff teams, all the teams in contention. I think we're going to go from Luton in 4th down to Preston, maybe. I feel like we've got to include Sunderland, so we've probably got to include Preston. We'll see how far we get. We'll certainly go down to Coventry, and then probably Watford as well, and then maybe Sunderland and Preston, 11th and 12th. We'll see, because Sunderland have been in and around it and then dropped off. So Yeah, we'll see. And yeah, we're just going to talk about how what kind of fixtures they've got coming up, whether we think we'll make the playoffs, and yeah, we'll start in fourth, Luton Town, doing well again this season. They just seem to progress year on year, don't they, Luton? Even losing Nathan Jones to Southampton, they are building and building every season, and they're actually still, we can't completely count them out from top two, can we?
I mean, all will depend on the next two games. I think they face Watford and Millwall. If they have to hope, continue to hope that they will push for the promotion playoffs, then I think they have to come out on the right side of these two games. If they lose points, that will be a harder task because people are catching them on now. I mean, what? They're 64. Blackburn has a game in hand. They're 61.
Yeah. They do have a good cushion on Norwich, 7 points, but they do have some tough games. Yeah, so you've mentioned the Watford and Millwall games, and they've also still got to play Middlesbrough and Blackburn, so that's basically four playoff chasing teams that they've got to play still in the last 8 games.
Yeah. And if they don't beat Millwall, they will only derail themselves because they have a 4-point lead. If Millwall beats them, that lead will cut down to 1 point. So it will be really interesting to see if they want to keep that playoff position, then they have to come out the right side of these next 2 games for certain.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at some of their past form, and I think they're going to be all right. I think they're going to make the playoffs because they're just solid enough at the back. Have a guess. When was the last time Luton... Actually, no, that's not going to work. Luton have only conceded more than 1 goal once since the middle of January. The West Brom game that they lost 3-2. Since then, in the league, they have only on 1 occasion conceded twice, and that was actually against Millwall in the reverse fixture as part of that double game week, where they drew 2-2. So they're built off of a very solid foundation, and they've had defensive injuries at times this season as well. They've also lost the likes of James Bree to Southampton, but they don't seem to have been too badly affected by that at all. And they're just really good at grinding out results. Plenty of 1-0 wins that they've had this season, 3 in their last 4 games, in fact. And it would have been another 1-0 win had they not had that. Would have been 4 in a row had it not been that controversial penalty that Sunderland got last weekend. So, yeah, I'm firmly of the opinion they'll make the playoffs. Do you think they will?
Yeah, I think they will because, I mean, the fixtures that they have left, if they navigate these 4 games and come out with 10 points out of that 4 games, the rest of the 5 games are easier in terms of competition in the championship. I mean, they face Blackpool, Rotherham, Reading, and Hull. Yeah. So that's the next 4 games, and that's the 4 games that are left. So I think they will be on the playoffs. Much will depend on the next 2 games. If they can't get a result against one of them, if they drew both of them, that will only hamper their chances. If they get 4 points out of it, I think they will be fine.
Given they have a 7-point cushion to Norwich, I think 1 win out of the next 2 games is pretty good. And then they've got the 3 easier fixtures, and that cushion should be enough. But yeah, certainly I think they should be targeting 1 win out of the next 2. And they'd be pretty happy with that, I'd say. Cool. In terms of any Gaffr assets, then obviously playoff teams are probably some of the best teams to look at when we get to the end of the season, because you know that they've got a lot to fight for still. Is there anyone in particular that you'd be looking at that maybe? Well, who do you have, and are you looking to bring any in? I suppose.
Currently, I don't own any Luton players, but I think apart from Morris and Drame, I'm not considering anyone.
Fair enough.
Maybe, but I don't have. If anyone has, did we get Jeeper Keeper in this set?
No.
No, so I'll stay away from Howard as well. If we have gotten Jeeper Keepers, then I think Howard will be another option. But I think apart from Drame and Morris, I don't think anyone be going for any of the other assets. They
Yeah,
are the guys.
yeah. I think they're in don't buy, don't sell category right now because of the next two, and then you could probably think about buying them after these next two for the 3 easier games. I've just
Yeah.
got Osho. I think those of you who've got Cody Drammer have done extremely well. I certainly wish I had him in my team because he's so attacking. He's got quite a few returns, and obviously when you've got the clean sheets as well, and he then also becomes very, very good for bonus. So he's doing really well for bonus and an attacking point of view. Well done if you have him. I may look to bring it. I mean, it depends on all sorts of factors and how things look in a couple of weeks, but I may look to bring him in sort of in a couple of weeks' time. And Morris, again, don't buy, don't sell. You can make an argument for buying, I think, if he's your preferred choice of performance. If you need to sell Bradshaw or
with
something.
the form, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to say. With the form of Bradshaw, I think maybe you can switch it up because Akpom and Victor is going nowhere. So that's third spot is up for grabs. I think between Bradshaw, Morris, and whoever is the lucky guy out of all the forwards that we have.
Yeah, indeed. Right. Let's move on then to fifth placed Blackburn Rovers, the team of very few draws. 4 draws this season. It was like January or February when they had their first draw. They've got as many defeats as they've got 1 less defeat than Rotherham, as many defeats as Bristol City, and they've got just 2 less wins than Sheffield United in second place. I think they're a really difficult team to predict at the moment. They obviously lost to Sheffield United in the FA Cup quarter-finals to a very late goal.
It's a heartbreaking one, but you can't do anything about it because it was a sweet hit, and that's the beauty of football. 90-minute winners. United conceded a 90-minute winner against Arsenal. It's a really hard one to take as a fan, and especially in a quarter-final game. Albeit I was feeling unhappy because it's a league game, but imagine it's a quarter-final game and Blackburn was leading, and most parts of the game and playing well. But certainly they turned it up and just lost the game. Really feel for those Rovers fans, Blackburn fans. So
very tough.
Yeah, I think what the new manager has done is that it's a team that's looking likely the Blackburn Rovers that we get to see in the Championship. I think a couple of seasons back, when I think Ben Berriton signed, he was scoring goals. Team was playing well. They were looking for the playoffs position again. They're looking good, scoring goals, having an attacking brand of football, I guess. But my money is on Blackburn to finish on playoffs this season because I've seen enough of them. Plus, they have a game in hand.
Yeah.
The double will be crucial. Plus, as I have spoken it on last week as well, or the weeks before, they have the easiest run of fixtures amongst all the playoff chasing teams in terms of opponents. You can make an argue for Luton, but Blackburn, they face Birmingham, Huddersfield, Hull. Similarly,
it's quite similar to Norwich. Luton rather.
Yeah, Luton face Watford and Millwall in the next 2. Blackburn face Norwich, Luton and Millwall on the last 2 games.
They're going to be big games. That could all hang on those games, and they've also got Burnley the game before, so they end on actually 3 really tough games. They've also got to play Coventry. That's a tough game.
And Norwich.
But that Norwich game feels big right now.
Yeah,
really big.
But the thing is that why I'm betting on them because all those hard games are at home, apart from Millwall.
True.
Norwich are at home. Coventry are at home, Burnley at home, Luton at home. So, if they are on the mix with the playoffs, the fans will be behind them because I think they have played a decent, good, attractive football, unlike the Blackburns of past that they were in the Premier League. So, I think the fans will be behind them if they are in the mix. So, that home fan factor will become a key for the promotion playoff push. So that's why my money is on them, and I think Darren, if he listens to it, will really like it that we are putting money on Blackburn. But he is an optimistic guy. He says that let's see what the results. Let's see. We are taking one game at a time. So first is Norwich. So let's hope that if Blackburn wins and Luton don't pick up a point, then it will be interesting thing because they're only 3 points behind. So vital for Luton to pick a win for to make Blackburn stay behind them, behind the 8 ball. So I think Blackburn should be fine for the playoff. Here they have enough talent in the bank, and I think Britain will. I think he's joining Villarreal on the summer, so I think he will go out on a happy note. I think if the team plays in the promotion playoff semi-finals, I think that's a happy end to his Blackburn career. I think so. Yeah, I think Blackburn should be there and thereabouts.
I'm going to say they will as well. They're on 5 wins in 6. I think they do need to get enough points on the board before that Burnley game. Although at that point, Burnley will have wrapped up the title, so they'll have certainly they'll be a bit more up for it potentially than the Burnley players. Although maybe the derby factor will mean Burnley is still up for it anyway. I don't know. I think they'll be. I think potentially if they lose that Norwich game and also don't beat Birmingham, then I'm concerned for them, and I think maybe they won't make the playoffs. But if they get 4 points from their next 2, I reckon they will. They'll make the playoffs fairly comfortably. In terms of Gaffr, I'm not really interested in anyone at the moment because they're just not very good value. The goals are spread around the team. There's no real talisman at the moment, even though, I mean, you could say Ben Brereton Diaz, but he's not particularly in form right now. He's been out of the team quite a bit, and Sam Gallagher's been playing instead as well. So I'm not interested currently in any Blackburn players from a Gaffr point of view, but yeah, I do think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Next team is 6th place Millwall, who have a 3-point cushion on Norwich. Now, this is an interesting one, Millwall. What are your thoughts on them and their chances at the moment?
I think both Millwall and Norwich City are a flip side of a coin because they have identical number. I think Millwall has 17 wins, Norwich has 16. They both have 9 draws. Millwall has lost 1 less than Norwich. And in terms of goal difference, Norwich has +3 advantage in it there. It's 3-point game. It's Norwich. In terms of fixtures, if you look at it, if Norwich can spring a surprise against Sheffield United this game week, they will finish in the playoffs.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Norwich in a minute. Let's just focus on Millwall for now.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about Millwall plays West Brom. So if they don't beat or get up, I think they have to beat. Because the next game week will be a deciding factor whether it will on the championship race, playoff race. It's a really critical week because all the playoff chasing teams, and I think the top 8 teams play each other.
It's a really critical next 2 games for Millwall because they've got West Brom and then Luton, so they could find themselves outside of the playoff places if they're not careful. And I think they'll be really kicking themselves about that Huddersfield game. They've been winning the games they should be winning in the last few months, and doing so very consistently, and that's why they're in the position they're in at the moment, whilst also being able to compete and get results against the top teams. Not many wins against top teams. Sheffield United is the standout, but they've managed to also get a few draws. So yeah, losing to Huddersfield is a real kick in the teeth. The gap would have been 6 points if they'd have won that game to Norwich, and I think if they had won that, I would have been fairly confident again that they'd make the playoffs. But now 2 tough games, then they've got a much easier run: Hull, Preston, Birmingham, Wigan, Blackpool. before finishing up against Blackburn, which could be massive for both teams.
I mean,
so
what does the game of Luton, Millwall, and Norwich does this week is that they will bring others into playoff contention if they don't win or pick up points. They will bring the rest. They will bring the likes of Stoke to contention again. I mean, if we look at the table, I mean, it's so that playoff race from 4 to I think 12, 13 is so tight at the moment that if one team falters, the other team gains their places. So really, Millwall has to be up on their game against West Brom and Luton Town. West Brom is away. That's a critical factor because West Brom at the Hawthorns, they have their own playoff ambitions. So it will be a tough game. So Millwall has to be on their A game for the next 2 weeks just to shoot off their rivals and keep hold of the 6th position. Otherwise, it will be really disastrous.
A defeat to West Brom, and West Brom are only 2 points behind them all of a sudden as well. So it's In terms of Gaffr assets, obviously a lot of us have at least 2 Millwall. Would you think about selling someone like Bradshaw or Fleming or a defender? Are they in the sell category now? They're certainly not in the buy category. What do you reckon?
I think it's quite tricky because the only 2 guys that every Gaffr managers own are the only 2 guys that's going to score goals from Millwall if they are going to get anything from them. If they aren't, so what sort of plans you make for that? Because you want to have a Millwall player, but certainly case can be made because the next 2 games are against Luton and West Brom. So that's tougher games. But if they get on the right side of those 2 games and score victories, then all of a sudden that will be a transfer wasted because you are gonna get for the next 5 games, as you mentioned, because they are against opponents who aren't scoring many goals, and both of these guys, Bradshaw and Fleming, will be on the score sheet against those guys if Millwall score a bunch of goals. Plus, more so, Bradshaw has scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United. So I think when push comes to shove, I think against bigger teams, tougher opponents, Millwall's players bring out their A games. So I think certainly they are not a buy category. Certainly you don't have to wait for them for these 2 games to go, then buy. Certainly they are not a sell as well. If you don't have any pressing issues, like you need some money to move forward, injured players or other, you may have to have some money to invest in some certain areas for your boost plan, the last boost that you have left. Then, I get why you are gonna sell, but certainly not now, because you never know.
Yeah, I can see both sides. My opinion is that aside from Long, all Millwall assets are sellable. I'm not saying you should sell them this week, but they are. You can consider selling them, and it all depends on your team, your transfer targets, what fires you need to put out. So for me personally, I'm not going to consider selling Fleming because I've got players like Loser, and midfield options are a little thinner on the ground at the moment. I'm happy to bench McNamara if necessary. But again, if you fancied selling him for a higher upside defender like a Cody Drammer or Ryan Giles or something like that, then go ahead. The one I'm most considering selling is Tom Bradshaw for someone like Archer. If I can afford, I'd have to check that. So I probably will be able to afford him because I think there are just some other really good striking options at the moment that have the better fixtures. I do think Bradshaw's still okay, and I do still think I think he'll still keep returning. Just maybe won't be as explosive. Maybe the points per game will go down a little bit compared to the kind of high standards he's set in the last few weeks. So he's the one I'm really considering selling. That Huddersfield game, for him to be so quiet is a bit of an annoying one. So yeah. Shall we move on to the next team down, which is Norwich? Thoughts on Norwich?
I mean, they are ideally in a better position. I mean, they have the playoff chances on their hands, don't you think? Judging by the fixtures, I think the next two, Sheffield United at home, Blackburn away, literally sees them whether they are a promotion team, promotion playoff team or not.
And they've also got
Basically,
Middlesbrough coming up too.
that's a tougher game because Middlesbrough will be eyeing for that automatic promotion spot by that. I think what they face, yeah, or by 42. I mean, that's Middlesbrough will be on a different ball game, so they are not winning that one. That's for sure. But these next two games will is really important for all those playoff chasing teams. I mean, it's really fun time to be an AFL Championship watcher
Yeah,
because the
it
next
is.
two game weeks really will. I mean, it will really say that whether which teams are on the playoff side or which team are
There's a
not.
lot of big games. A lot of big games. Norwich are in an interesting moment at the moment because they went on a good run of form for a while with under David Wagner. Although they were admittedly much easier fixtures, they beat Hull, Birmingham, Cardiff, and Millwall, which is obviously a good result, and also had a 0-0 draw against Wigan. But then the last three games, they've lost to Sunderland 1-0, drew with Huddersfield, and drew with Stoke 0-0. So they've slowed down. They've kind of dropped off the pace a little bit, but they are only 3 points off the playoffs right now. I'm not convinced by Norwich at the moment.
Yeah, and the reason why is that the strikers are not scoring goals. The midfielders are scoring goals if they're winning.
Yeah.
The likes of Sarah, the likes of Dowell, the likes of McLean, they are scoring the goals and getting those points. Not the likes of Pookie and Sargent like at the start of the season. And if your forwards are scoring, you're not too much happy about the team going forward. So
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah, that's the thing for me as well. I don't think Norwich will get the playoff if certain results don't move in their favor. But it's a tough ask.
I personally think they've got to win. They've probably, in the next 4 games against Sheffield United, Blackburn, Rotherham and Middlesbrough, they probably need about at least 7 points. I'm not sure they'll get it. Maybe more. They might need more than 7 points. Like they need to get results against these big teams. I'm not sure they do.
I mean, it's a point gain. It will do them a favor as well. So if they lose, that's done and dusted. They have to get, I think, 8+ points from those 4 games. 7 is far low points for them. Even if they lose to Middlesbrough, it doesn't help them because all those teams that are ahead of them or below them have easier run of fixtures when by the time they face Middlesbrough. So they have to get a result against Middlesbrough as well to stay in touch with the pack.
Yeah, I think that Blackburn game is really key as well. That's so huge because obviously they are direct rivals, whereas Middlesbrough they're going to finish top 4 in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah,
Sheffield United are
40,
fine. So.
Gaming 40 will have 3 important games as of now. I think that Luton, Millwall, Blackburn, Norwich, and I think there is another one. We will see whatever fates these promotion playoff chasing teams have.
I'm going to say that they won't finish in the playoffs, and I'm also not interested in anyone from a Gaffr point of view. Obviously, we have Sarah in the pod team, and I think he's an okay hold, but I'm not interested. Like you say, if Sargent and Pookie aren't firing, then you're relying too much on worldly goals from your midfielders. It's interesting how Pookie's really dropped off this year. It's probably to do. I know he's had injuries, and he's probably hampered by kind of the service being a bit. He's getting a bit less service this year in terms of the attacking midfielders behind him.
I mean, I think the likes. He had Bundia as an assist provider. From him to what he has now, it really speaks volumes. So, unless they have a good attacking midfield players, they will be in trouble next season. Was finding goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's move on to our next one, which is Coventry, who are also on 57 points, same as Norwich. I really do think Coventry stand a good chance. They just score goals for fun. I know they've had a couple of blips recently, only drawing against Wigan, and they drew against Hull as well. But when I look at their fixtures, they've got Watford. The promotion chasing teams they've got to play are Watford, Blackburn, and Middlesbrough. Outside of that, they've got plenty of winnable games. What do you reckon on Coventry?
Yeah, I think the thing is that they faced Middlesbrough on the last day of the season, so that's the non. Yeah, that if Middlesbrough confirmed their playoff position or their promotion by then I don't think that will be a tough game for Coventry. Because by that time Coventry will know their fate, whether they are going to be a playoff team or not.
I suppose
But
the question is on that one, just to jump in on that, is if, let's say,
yeah,
Middlesbrough are out of the race for top 2 by that point,
mm,
and they know they're going to be in the playoffs guaranteed, do they rotate heavily for that game to rest their key players ahead of the playoffs?
probably.
Yeah.
So that game is chalked off. The only two games that are important is the Watford and the Blackburn game, and I don't know about, but what Watford at home, Coventry should do a good job.
Very
Blackburn
winnable.
away,
Very winnable.
yeah, Blackburn away. That's tough.
50-50.
Tough. Yeah, I mean, go to Ewood Park. It's a tough place to get a result. Nevertheless, get a win. So it really depends on how. I mean, Coventry are a team that do your job and see what results fall into the table, and then plan accordingly. Uh, First, beat the team that you are supposed to beat.
Yeah.
Then wait for the results of other teams that in and around you, and see what has happened, and then go by your business. So I think Coventry has a good decent chance to be a promotion playoff team, but it's in their hand. I think Coventry is the one team that the promotion playoff is in their hands, because they can see what other teams are doing after doing their job. If they lose, then that's it.
My
So
opinion
all
on,
depends. Yeah, go on.
my opinion on Coventry is that they're going to run it close. They might sneak into that 6th place, and they're going to have a really good stab at it. The concern I do have is obviously Casey Palmer's injured, Alan is injured. I'm not sure how long until Alan's back. I think it was a shorter term injury, but I'm not actually 100% sure when he's coming back. So those attacking injuries make me wonder, will they score enough goals? If they only drew 1-1 with Wigan, for example, that was a bit of a concern. Godden is obviously a very able player. They can obviously move to 2 up top and play Godden, and he's very able in that sense. So I don't think that's a concern. But then the creative midfielder behind at the moment, it's kind of Eccles, and then there's Gustavo Hamer as well. So it's whether there'll be key misses in attack. Certainly the depth isn't there right now. With those injuries, but Victor is obviously a fantastic forward, and from a Gaffr point of view, no way you're ever going to sell him unless he gets injured. And any defensive assets you've got are an absolute keep as well. In terms of midfield, Palmer and Allen are potential decent budget options if they do return. I don't think Palmer will though this season, but if Allen returns, he could be a decent budget option as he was. So I don't think anything changes from a Gaffr point of view, right? Like,
Yeah,
everyone's got 2 at least, so keep them and don't do anything with them, right?
That's the only thing. I think the injuries, if they don't have any more injuries, I think they will be fine. But they seem to have, whenever they are on a good run, they seem to have injuries to key players that are contributing to that in key run. So really, they need to hope that they don't receive any key injuries to important players. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if Victor goes down, touch wood, if Victor goes down, it would be disaster for Coventry. So hopefully all those key important Coventry players stay fit for the next 9 game weeks.
I'd love to see Coventry make the Premier League. I think you're absolutely right. Depends on the fitness of key players, because the strength in depth isn't quite there with them compared to the other teams. Let's hope they do run it close. Let's move on to. I think what we'll do is we'll do 9th and 10th, and then we'll be extremely brief with 11th and 12th because we've got questions to come on to as well. So next is West Brom. They are on 55 points, but they do have a game in hand. West Brom have been a weird team this year, haven't they? Just very inconsistent. Yeah. They picked up obviously after hiring Carlos Corberán when they were, for a while in the relegation zone. Now they're up to 9th and in contention. Any thoughts?
I don't think West Brom will make it to the playoff. Sorry, Tom, but I don't think they will, because if you look at the fixtures for West Brom, they have easier run, but they face Sheffield United, Norwich, and I think on 45 and 46, or 44 and 45.
Yeah, 44,
although they have a double game week on 44. I mean, the other game was against Sunderland. I mean, really, against Millwall, if they don't get a result against Millwall, then I think that's done and dusted. Don't you think?
If they beat Millwall, they're right in it. They're right in the hunt.
Yeah.
So I see that as the key game coming up.
Especially
if they don't win that game, I don't think they make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they beat Millwall, considering the next 4 games are against Rotherham, QPR, Stoke, and Blackpool, that's 12 points on offer, and West Brom are capable enough to get those 12 points. So that Millwall game is looking more and more crucial now.
The other thing is their away form has been pretty poor, particularly recently. Drawing with Cardiff, losing to Hull, losing to Watford, although obviously Watford are decent, losing to Birmingham. And 3 of those 4 easy fixtures are away from home. So the question is, if they can book up their ideas away from home and win 2 out of those 3, then they're right in it, particularly if they get a result against Millwall. But I don't think they'll have enough, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird thing to say, because with a team that considering they have DK, they have Wallace, they have Swift.
This team should be a playoff team based off of the strength of the squad. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah,
and maybe the quality will shine through and it will be the difference maker in the end. We'll see.
These are they have signed important guys that have done the business in the championship time and time again. Wallace was an important player for Millwall. Swift was an important player for Reading. DK was scoring goals for fun for Bristol before his injury happened. So
Barnsley, sorry.
They are a good enough team to be a playoff team, but certainly the form they were at the start of the season, it didn't help them at all. Considering the manager as well, it didn't help. So hopefully, they get the turnaround from the Millwall game and gets picking up those points, and be in contention. But I don't see them having that sort of a push for playoff maybe next year.
From a Gaffr point of view, they're quite interesting. I think Wallace is obviously fine as a hold, but in defence, Furlong is now a problem if you've still got him, because Albrighton has played a couple of games, so he's less nailed than he was. Townsend is still fine, I think. And then DK, probably wouldn't have him personally, but he's not. I don't think he's an awful option. I think he is probably favoured over Thomas Asante. I do think DK's fine, actually. I do think he'll score a decent amount of goals in the upcoming fixtures, particularly as they got after the Millwall game a run of 4 decent games. But I probably wouldn't buy him, really.
Yeah, it's more to say that if they get the win against Millwall, then I think Corberán will not change his squad that much. and because they need to pick up points more and more to stay in touch. So then, if they do get beat Millwall, then the likes of Wallace, Swift, DK, they become good, fat differential fantasy assets for the for Gaffr managers to push. They will become differential assets. But if they don't get a result against favorable result against Millwall, then I think it's don't bother buying them.
Yeah, they're expensive as well, and I
Yeah,
think DK is one of those where actually in a season where there weren't such amazing assets in Akpom and Victor, DK I think is a really good option. It's just he's got lots of competition in the striker spots at the moment, and obviously you're not going to pick him over those guys at the moment. So
so
yeah, that's West Brom. I don't think they'll quite make it. Although if they beat if they beat Millwall, I think they've got a really good chance. If they don't beat Millwall, they won't make it. So it's all in that game. I'm going to say they won't make it.
yeah, me as well said the start.
Even though they
Because I don't
should.
think with the squad they have,
Should with the
they
squad.
easily they should have, but I don't see them make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, alright. Next team is Watford. They're also on 55 points, but obviously don't have the game in hand that
Yeah,
West Brom
you just talk
do.
about Watford. I'm not talking about Watford.
Of course, too much pain this season. Yeah.
They have.
I
Plus,
mean, bringing
yeah, I
loser
think
didn't go very well, did it? Home to Wigan. That's supposed to be the game. The playoff chasing teams they've got to play are Luton, Coventry, and Sunderland. So they haven't got any. They haven't got any of the top three. But all three of those games are away from home, quite crucially. And then the home games are all pretty good. I don't think Watford will make the playoffs, but when I look at their fixtures, it's probably an easier fixture list than a lot of their fellow contenders. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, with a couple of games to go, are still mathematically able to qualify. Yeah, the Luton game's a big game this week because again, if they win that game, they're right in it.
Yeah, I think all we can say is that they can make a sneaky push.
Could do.
Yeah, I mean, when everybody is not watching, it's that guy that everyone was not considering to be to be in the conversation, but just sneaked up on you. They will be like that if they pick up those results, but I'm not expecting much from them.
Again, they've got the quality. João Pedro, Keenan Davis, Sema, Sarr if he comes back at any point. But, if not beating Wigan at home, it's just pretty criminal, let's be honest. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of a Gaffr point of view, no one's interesting to me. I'm probably going to sell loser. It's a bit of a short-term punt, really, with the blank game week. I think I'll sell him. So I wouldn't be interested in anyone at all. I guess the only potential option is a defensive one like Ngakia because he's not too expensive, and because the fixtures are good, maybe they'll do okay from that point of view. They have only conceded 2 goals in their last 4 games, Watford. So I don't hate that idea, but it's not someone you'd go out of your way to transfer in. So the next 3 games, Luton, Huddersfield, Coventry, I think will decide it. If they get good results against Luton and Coventry, they do have a chance because they've got a pretty straightforward run after that point. So yeah, I'm not completely ruling them out, but I'm going to say they won't make it. Too inconsistent. Cool. And finally, Sunderland and Preston and the other two on 53 points, which rounds off the top half. 7 points back. Do you think either of these teams can make a push? I don't think they will.
Preston won't, but
Preston
you never know about Sunderland because they can spring a surprise or two.
Yeah, they can get a result against anyone, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, they have the toughest of all those playoff position chasing teams because they play Burnley, West Brom, Watford, all in I think especially after 40 from 44 they play West Brom, Watford, and Preston. So arguably, if they want to be on the playoff position chasing team, one of them, then they have to get a result in these last 3 games, and against Burnley as well next game week. Because the next 4 they have after Burnley are Hull, Cardiff, Birmingham, Huddersfield. Out of the 3 of them are at home. Sunderland are decent at home, scoring goals for fun. One is away. That's Cardiff. Cardiff is a transitional team, so
Mm.
you're expecting points from those 4 games. But the other 4 games that they have could decide their future, whether they are a direct promotion playoff team from League One this season, or they have far too many gaps to fulfill.
I think they could win 3 out of those 4 easy games that you mentioned after Burnley to keep themselves in with a chance, and then probably just fall short in those last 3 games. That's probably what I think is going to happen. Whatever way you look at it, they've had a very good season. They've had a
Yeah,
good chunk of the season without Ross Stewart. They've lost Ellis Sims, recalled from his loan from Everton.
they lost their manager as
Lost
well.
the manager, which was really silly, really, like going to Stoke from
Yeah,
Sunderland, and
I mean,
Anyway.
yeah,
They've had a great season. They play some great attacking football, and if they finish top half, then they'll have done very well, and they've got something to
yeah,
build on next season. It's just a shame. You do wonder if Ross Stewart had stayed fit the whole season, maybe they would have
yeah,
be right in there, right in the mix.
yeah.
Um,
That's the question Ross Stewart is asking himself as well, because he has got some interesting players behind him this season, likes of Diallo, Clark. I mean, they got signed a new forward. They got Sims as well. So if Ross Stewart was fit enough him, for the longest part of the season, I think Sunderland would have been a top 7, top 8 team by now.
yeah. Yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up then. So that's our thoughts on the playoff race. It's going to be really interesting. It's always very exciting, the championship at this stage of the season with the playoffs. I'm glad they do it rather than the top 3 go up.
Yeah, I think before you end, just to wind Jamie of the FF Fantasy Squad, just to wind Jamie up, I think if results go Stoke's favour, Stoke can make a push as well. They
Nah,
are not far behind.
they're too far back. Too far back.
Finally, they have a team. They have an identity after 38 games.
They're doing well. They're actually probably
Yeah.
showing some signs of encouragement, which is nice for him after all the misery.
Yeah.
But 12 points is too much. So
Yeah.
right, Abhishek, do you want to read out some questions? We've got a few questions this week.
Yeah, I think we have 4 questions. Yeah, so let's do it. First question comes from Glasgow, a good friend. He says, "Got money to burn. Best defender / midfielder / forward player this week." So
I think we've all
arguably
got money to burn, haven't we?
I mean, he wants to pick a punt for him.
Are we talking
So
differentials here, do you think? Or just the best player?
I think he has enough money to burn. So the best, what we think is will score the highest points, I think, this week from defenders, midfielders, and forward category. Let's say that.
I'm going to go for players that aren't that he might not own, just to make it interesting, I guess, as potential buys. My forward is going to be Cameron Archer. It may sound like hindsight because he's just scored 19 points, but we did put him in our community team a few weeks ago at our overhaul, so we did think that he could do very well before he got his 19
Yep.
points, and I think he will still continue to do very well. So I will say Cameron
Yeah.
Archer is my forward. Who would your forward be?
Yeah, I mean, my forward will be one of Archer or Morris, because those are the 2 form guys, as apart from Akpom and Victor. So yeah, maybe you have told Archer, so I might go with Morris as the best forward this week.
Cool. Midfielder. I'm not sure about midfielder.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
I'll say Nathan Teller if you don't already have him. I'm surprised he's not more highly owned.
Yeah, I'm going with his clubmate Zaruri. But from maybe Diallo, I see an orange flag on Diallo, but maybe Diallo if he's fit.
I think that's an old
But
flag because he was back on the
yeah,
bench
so
in the last game.
yeah, I think one of Zaruri or Diallo for me.
Cool.
Taylor for you.
Defender. There's no one that explosive, is there?
I mean, if you don't own drama, then drama certainly can be an option.
Yeah,
If you don't own Giles, then Giles can certainly be an option. Apart from those two, I don't think anybody comes to my mind.
I'll go with Cody Drama. That's a good shout by you there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, Glasto. Those are our three. My defender is drama as well. So those are the three picks from us. The best players this week. Hey, you got money to burn? Spend it wisely.
Yes.
Don't spend it on wrong thing. Don't
Nice.
spend it on So next question comes from Tom, the community manager, or from our Thursday night wars. He says, "Who's your favorite Burnley assets going forward besides from Teller?" That's the first question. Second, he asks, "And do you think they will rotate when the league is wrapped up?" So, apart from Teller, who is your favorite Burnley assets going forward for the
So
next game weeks?
it's definitely Zaruri over Brownhill. I think it's obvious, but I think it's Zaruri and Matson personally. I don't think Matson's quite as essential as potentially the midfielders, but I think it's those two. I personally wouldn't go for Ashley Barnes ahead of any of the other forwards that we've got in the game. So those are the two I'd go for. And in regards to his second question, I don't think we could be sure. My honest answer is I don't know whether they will rotate. I don't think they'll rotate against Blackburn when they play the Derby game later on in the season. Outside of that, we don't. Vincent. We've never had experience of Vincent Kompany as a manager in this position before, so we don't know if he's just going to want to chase. I don't know if they're chasing after any records as well, points records. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think they are, but they're certainly not far off. So they very well might, and I would be prepared for a plan for if they do rotate. But you never know; they might not.
Yeah. So my favorite Burnley assets, it's a bit different because it gets kind of boring. They're picking Zaruri, Teller, likes of Zaruri, Teller, Matson, Bettino, Roberts. My different. So my favorite Burnley assets going forward will be a different one. I think they signed him on January from Danish or Swedish club. I think Ekdal.
Centre back
He's a
though.
6 minute. Yeah, although he's a centre back, but he's hogging all those performance bonus points as well. He has scored as well on the short period of time he has been on Burnley. He's 6 million defender, although he's a really not a cheap defender, but he is an interesting option, especially on those set pieces and on those corners and free kicks. He goes and attacks the ball quite a bit, and not like Howard Bayliss, and plus Howard Bayliss is injured, I think, as
Yeah.
well. So I think he plays, and he is a good enough player to get those returns as well. I think not every time goals, but performance bonus points as well. So if you're looking at a defender, I think Ekdal will not get dropped even if they rotate after securing the title, but he will still play. And I do think he will rotate. I mean, he has rotated the hell out of his Burnley squad till today. So why not he will rotate after wrapping up the title? So, but on hindsight, there is a certain thing that's going on into my mind that he has rotated when they have not won the title. If they have won the title, he might not rotate and play the same team till the season ends. So it's a really tricky thing to see about it, because we don't have, as Joel mentioned, we haven't seen Vincent Company winning a championship in England live. I mean, or in his short managerial career. So I don't know what he will do after wrapping up the title. So
Yeah.
I hope that clears it up and answers your question.
Cool. Next one.
Number three. Yeah, number three is from Billy, our Norwegian friend. He says, any differential picks to help make gains until the end of the season? That's the question. And to answer your musings from last pod, I am half Norwegian and changed my team name ages ago at least before the World Cup.
Nice.
I think that was the fun that we were talking about team names. I think last week before the international break. I think
Mm.
we're talking about when did the team names get changed. So thanks, Billy, for your clarification on that. So any differential picks to help make gains until the end of the season?
It's a tricky one, this, particularly finding ones that are real, true differentials. I guess you could get on Archer quick, maybe before he becomes more highly owned. You could get on Zaruri quick before he becomes more highly owned. But I don't think they may be differentials now, but I don't think they'll stay that way. They might well not. So in terms of real, true differentials, maybe a John Swift sort of player, because if West Brom do go on a really good run, he will be involved. He's good for bonus. He's been playing more regularly recently. He's on actually an average last four. If you filter by the last four form tab on the Gaffr website, he comes out level with Swift on 7.25 points per game. So possibly Swift, because we know what he can do from a set piece point of view, from a bonus point of view, and if he's nailed on now, then maybe him. I think that's the standout one for me. I can't think of anyone else. Can you? I'm sure there will be a couple of others.
Yeah, there will be a couple of others, but as of now, I don't think. Apart from Swift, maybe you can make a case for DK because he certainly looks like he's has run out of his injury luck. I think he's now proving his fitness enough. I think he got selected for the US men's national team in the international break as well. So I think he will he will be a player to watch out for, especially if they get the win against Millwall. So I think DK is the one for me. Swift for you.
The other one I'll shout at is Riley McGree. I think he might be the better option. I got Ramsey. I think McGree might be the better option now in terms of nailedness, consistency.
I got both, so I am satisfied with that.
So yeah, maybe him.
Yeah. So there's your answer, Billy. Last question, and it's a big one from Angus, our good friend from the EFL Fantasy Squad. He has sent us 3 questions. First, best and worst flavors of crisps.
Ooh, depends on my moods. But I do. This is going to be really controversial, and some people will be like, "This is ridiculous." But I do like a prawn cocktail, Walker's prawn cocktail.
Okay.
Other than that,
Yours?
a nice salt and vinegar like your Tyrrells or your kettle chips. I do love a good quality salt and vinegar. Not your cheapy Walker's salt and vinegar, but your like nice salt and vinegar. They go down really well. Sea salt and cider vinegar. Lovely.
So that's the best. Your worst?
I don't like meaty crisps, so like smoky bacon, chicken crisps, or like it just doesn't. It's not a combo that works for me. It's like the worst bits of meat with the worst bits of crisps. Like the meat's all about the texture and the tenderness and the juices and stuff, and then the flavour that comes out through that. Trying to translate onto a crisp doesn't really work for me. So there you go. That's me.
I don't think I have ever tested crisp in my country, so we have chips. So I can give you that one.
It could be what you call that. Could be crisps. What we call crisps, because they call them chips in America as well. So that might be the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah. So in terms of best flavor in chips, I quite like the magic masala that we have here, or the salt, and I think we have salt and I think the normal one that's with only the salt. So I quite like that. I quite like the magic masala. I quite like the tangy tomato. It's different flavor we have in here. The worst type of crisps are the ones that are made of cheese. I mean, I can't eat. I can eat molten cheese. I can eat plain cheese, but I can't eat cheesy fried version of that. I can't eat fried cheese. It really puts a bad taste in my mouth. I simply can't. I think I was very small. Tend to get I tend to get very hateful towards it. So I can't like those kind of crisps that are fried cheese, if I can say. That's the best and that's the worst
Nice.
flavors of crisps or chips, as they are called in our respective countries.
Nice.
So, the second question is, where is one place you would like to visit that you haven't been to before?
That's an interesting
Jeez,
question.
I haven't gotten out of my country yet, so every place is an adventure for me. So
Where would you choose if you could choose one place to go in the whole wide world? Where would you go?
definitely England.
Really?
Definitely, of course. I have love to meet you guys.
Come to
I do.
Nottingham! Woo!
I love to meet every one of my English friends that I've made over the past 2 3 years.
Huh.
So England would be the one that I'm most looking forward to, and we'll probably make a trip in the future.
Amazing.
So
Do it. Do it.
that will be the one place that I haven't visited yet in my life that I would be like to visit. So, and you, what's the place?
David knows what I'm going to say here. Norway!
I also know if
I,
you're gonna say.
I love the look of Norway. It looks like an absolutely beautiful country.
Yeah.
Northern
I
Lights
think apart,
potential.
I think Norway is on the second spot on my destination list, travel destination list first, because
To
majority
see
of my
David.
yeah, of course, because he's the one guy that will missed out on the list. So of course,
Yeah.
so,
I do have a very exciting trip coming up, though, to see some of the world that I have never seen before. It's only my second time outside of Europe, and I'm going to South America because my sister is on her year abroad with university out there. So in May, I'm going to South America for 2 weeks, which is very exciting.
which country you're visiting?
I'm going to Chile and Argentina.
Ooh.
So
I mean, Argentina is having a party now, world champs.
yeah, I'll be looking out for something Lionel Messi related while I'm there.
Did you see the video when they face Panama? I mean, the chills. I mean, I think Gianni shared it on Twitter, on our
Okay.
community.
I remember seeing
Just
scenes of Buenos Aires celebrations after they won the World Cup. I remember seeing
no, I mean, it's the first game after they became the world champions. The
okay.
first game, so it literally chills. The whole stadium was singing the song. I mean, their names. I mean, every one of the Argentinian players that were on the pitch were crying.
Oh
So
wow.
just watch it. It's very emotional and very chilling. And that is one of the reasons that we love football.
That sounds really
It's
cool. That
really,
sounds really good.
yeah. Just go to Gianni's page, I think, and watch the video.
Amazing.
I think I've shared on our WhatsApp group, so you can check it out from there as well. And final question from Angus: will Chewbacca ever stop returning?
No. How does Angus not
Hold
own
on.
Agpom, by the way?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
What are we playing at, man? You're supposed to be good at this game. You're like top 50. How are you top 50
Yeah.
and you've not owned Agpom all season? Disgraceful, really.
And let me tell you one thing. He has got all those hat tricks that we haven't received. He got the Bradshaw hat trick. He got the Estupinian hat trick. He got
Yeah.
another hat trick, I guess. I think he got the Akpom hat trick earlier when Akpom scored. Then he dropped him off, bent him off,
Okay.
and he still haven't owned him. I am guessing that.
Maybe he just
So
wants to play the end of the season on hard mode. He's clearly doing a good job of it. His rank's
I
good.
think it's like the Malone-esque season that you had on the Gaffr one.
Don't
You
remind me.
clearly don't want to own Malone, and Malone keeps on scoring the points,
Yeah.
which ultimately cost you the title.
Yes, probably similar thing where you just don't want to buy them, but they keep
Yeah.
doing the business. Yes.
I think Angus is doing the same thing. So yeah, that rounds up the question. I think Billy has a nice reply on his will Chewbacca ever start scoring? Probably the minute you bring him in. So
Sounds about
don't
right.
bring him in. Yes, don't bring him in, Angus. You are way far ahead on the overall ranks. Let other players play a bit.
let us all catch you up with Akpom
Yeah.
from our captaincies.
Yeah, so that's round off all the football and non-football questions for the international break. Hope you guys have enjoyed it.
Nice. Right, last thing then on this longer episode. It's been quite a long one,
Yep.
but it's been good. It's been really good.
Imagine David misses out and we get a longer episode.
Yes. Right, let's have a look at our teams for
Yeah.
Game Week 39. Now, this is my team, and honestly, I don't love it at the moment. Things have just gone a bit off the last couple of game weeks, I think. Things have gone the wrong direction. Bringing in Ramsey was an interesting one because I looked at the stats, and it's based off of a small sample, and I thought it looked good, but I hadn't watched him play. And I brought him in and watched him the very next game, and I thought he was okay, and he had some really promising moments. But I also wasn't that surprised to see him dropped the subsequent weekend. So I don't love having Ramsey because he also blocks me from getting Archer, and I wouldn't mind selling Bradshaw for Archer this week. To add to that, I also own Loser, and I don't really want him. So do I sell him instead and then block my path to Archer? I don't know. Upshot is I can see myself taking a -4, Bradshaw and Ramsey or Loser out. And see where we go. I think if I was to choose right now, I'd probably bring in Archer and Zaruri for Ramsey and
I think,
Bradshaw and bench Loser for Njai.
Yeah, one thing if I may add, that from the international game that I watched, the other 21 that we played last night, I think Archer got subbed off at halftime. He was not influencing the game at all. Ramsey came on at halftime and he scored a goal and he looked lively, whatever highlights I have watched. So it's a really hard decision, but I think in terms of form, you have to go with Archer at the moment, apart from Akpom.
It's one of those that could definitely go wrong. Ramsey could just haul next week and Archer could blank.
Yeah, so it's a really tricky one, but I think the pressing needs has to be dealt one. If you feel like you don't need a player and you need another player, then certainly do that move first, then do the other moves. Because Bradshaw, you never know, because Sheffield United has been leaking goals as well. So even though he's not scored against Huddersfield, one of the weakest defenses, he might score against Sheffield United. You never know.
So the annoying thing was not captaining Teller those 2 weeks. Like, I had him, it was great, but I was like, I wish I'd put the Vice on him at least. So I'm looking at him, home to Sunderland. It's not the easiest game, but I'm like, the temptation to captain him and try and make gains that way, because I need to make gains, is strong. But is he going to really keep up that run of form of absolutely hauling 2 weeks in a row? What was it? A hat trick and a brace or something?
17 and 22 points respectively.
Yeah. So I will. Yeah, I don't know who I'm going to captain, but I may I'll probably stick something on Teller and something on Akpom or Victor, it's a tough one. Maybe Victor because he's at home. But I'm not sure yet. That's undecided. That's me. Let's move on to you.
Yeah, I think Goodwin starts in goal for me. Townsend, Hoover, and Manning are the 3 defenders. Fleming, McBree, Ramsey, Teller are my 4 midfielders. The 3 forwards are Akpom, Pirro, and Victor at the moment. But I'm moving towards the budget buster. So Pirro might not stay. I will bring maybe Bradshaw so that it fulfills the budget buster move, which I'm playing on game week 41 as of now. So yeah, that will be my move, because my moves will be budget buster dependent from now on. So I don't care about anything else. I can need to go on a good run for those budget busters to make a good team for the budget buster. In terms of captaincy, it's on Akpom throughout the international break. It will be on Akpom come game week 39 deadline with Vice on Victor, because Stoke is certainly turning a corner. And although Coventry are at home, but you never know about Stoke. This they can keep a clean sheet. They can score an odd goal and nick out a win. So really, I will go with the safe option. Certainly with Akpom because I know Middlesbrough will score goals even if they are losing. So yeah, it's Akpom for me in terms of captaincy this week.
That's certainly a fair argument in terms of going for Akpom over Victor. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's me. Game 39.
Amazing. Right, that's it. That's the end of the episode. Slightly longer one this week with the international break, but I hope you enjoyed it. It was good to dig into all the playoff chasing teams. There's lots to talk about there, so that was good. And yeah, so all that remains to be said is goodbye and see you next time. So it's goodbye from me.
And namaste from me.